have you all here today. We're really excited to host this benefit featuring the Sonoran Quintet to bring awareness and support for Reigning Grace Youth Ranch. The funds raised today will specifically be used to support the Fountain Hills students and youth in need of participating in the equine therapy at the ranch. The cost per child is $400 a week for an 8-week session, So your donations are greatly appreciated, and you can find the Western hats and boots out on the table in the narthex and place your donations there if you would like to. At this time, we would like to thank our oboist, Patty Backus, and her fellow musicians for bringing this opportunity to Fountain Hills Presbyterian Church. We would also like to recognize Fountain Hills Crisis Response Team Coordinator, Tom Aiello, who is sitting in the back. Tom responds to youth crisis calls, often including suicide and overdose. So this is a really important cause, and we are really grateful to be a part of it. So thank you, Tom. At this time, we would also like you to silence your cell phones if you have them still on. And without further ado, please welcome the Sonoran Quintet. One, two, ready, go.
Thank you, and welcome to our concert this afternoon of the Sonoran Wind Quintet. It's our honor and a privilege to play for you all. I'm Diane, and of course this is a flute, and you'll see a little bit about the rest of the instruments in our ensemble as we go along. The first piece that we played for you was by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the great Austrian composer, Mozart. It was called his Concert Overture in C major works. The next piece we're going to play for you is by an American composer, the beloved composer Morton Gould from New York. He was born in 1913. His works are famous because he loved to incorporate American themes, popular music, jazz, ingredients that you find only in the United States. The piece we're going to play for you is from his Sinfoniette number 2, American Sinfoniette number 2. And this is the second movement called the Pavane. This is a symphonic work which we're going to play for you, arranged for woodwind quintet by the beloved American composer, Morton Gould.
We're really happy to be able to perform for you and to be able to support Reigning Grace Ranch as well. We know what a wonderful mission that is. The next piece that we're going to play is actually the only piece of all the pieces we're playing today that was composed specifically for woodwind, which is the flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and one brass instrument, French horn. And this is the oboe. It has a double reed, and it looks a lot like a clarinet, but you can tell the difference when the double reed goes in. So, this piece is called Allegretto. It's the fourth movement of Franz Danzi's Quintet in F major. And Franz Danzi was the son of an Italian cellist. He was born in Germany in the mid-1700s. And his father apparently was a very good teacher because at the age of 15, Franz Danzi was invited to play in the Mannheim Orchestra. And the Mannheim Orchestra is a very famous part of, a very important part of music, Western music history. In the Mannheim Orchestra, there was a dedicated conductor rather than the first violinist leading with the bow. And there was independent playing of the woodwind or the wind instruments. Up to that point, the wind instruments have been used to support or double the string instruments. So the Mannheim Orchestra is a very important group. And actually, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart came to hear the Mannheim Orchestra while Franz Danzig, at 15 years old, was a member. So Franz Danzig was very inspired by Mozart's visits, and he published wrote his first compositions based on the inspiration he got from Mozart's visit. When he was composing, he had the experience of sitting in that orchestra and listening to the virtuosic playing of all the wind instruments. So he understood how to write for woodwind instruments and for brass instruments and whatever he had heard. He had this rich vocabulary of sounds that he could use. So it's pretty important that he was in that orchestra. So we hope that you enjoy the fourth movement of Danzig's Quintet in F major. It's one of 4 movements. The whole piece would be 20 minutes long, so we figured we'd just do the fourth movement for you today. I'm not ready yet.
French horn, the only brass instrument in a woodwind quintet, because we sound great. And that is why. Actually, we're one of the most versatile instruments, so that's why we're there. Our next piece that we're going to be playing is our only Broadway piece, but it is the selections from The Sound of Music. And Sound of Music began on Broadway first, and then became a movie, as we all see with Julie Andrews. But when it was on Broadway, it won 5 Tony Awards, and including Best Actress, Best, I have my notes here, Best Conductor, Best Musical Director, Best Set Design. So it was an award-winning theatrical production. It was the very last piece, or last musical that Rodgers and Hammerstein actually produced and made. In fact, Oscar Hammerstein died 9 months after it came to Broadway. His very last song that he ever wrote was Edelweiss, and it was so heartwarming and so realistic that when the people in the audience, they actually thought that it was an actual Austrian folk song, but it was actually written by him. And then it came to the motion pictures, and of course it was with Julie Andrews, and I always forget his name, Christopher Plummer. And anyways, just a couple fun facts about this movie, because it's a movie that was dear to my heart. But fun facts, number 1, Julie Andrews, as she's running down the hills are alive with the sound of music. Well, in an interview, she said that it was being done with a helicopter, and the helicopter would come over and it would flatten her to the ground. So they had to do this scene over and over again, and in between the takes, they were feeding her hot toddy, because it was freezing to death. She was freezing. So by the time they were done with this particular take, not only were the hills alive, they were also spinning a little bit. So that was kind of a note. And the second fun fact I'll let you know is Christopher Plummer. He was a serious Shakespearean actor, and he was so excited to do something with Julie Andrews. He was just in love with her. He'd seen her in other Broadway productions. He was so excited to work with her until he worked with her. And I guess she's a very sweet, lovely person. Anyways, he said working with Julie Andrews was like being hit over the head with a Valentine's Day card every single day. So, because she was so 6 weeks. So anyways, but the movie actually went on to win probably, I think, 10 Academy Awards. So he was very worried that it was going to hurt his career, but it only made him who he was from that point forward. So anyways, without further ado, I'd like to bring you guys and have you guys listen to the selections from The Sound of Music, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I love playing it. So, is it good? Oh, sorry.
They're wonderful, aren't they? We're really enjoying this. So we're going to take a brief intermission at this point, and right now we would like to introduce our representative from Reigning Grace Ranch, Misty Mann.
Hello, y'all. How's it going? I am Misty. I'm from Reigning Grace Ranch. I am the programs director there. You guys are beautiful. That Sound of Music took me back to my childhood. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid. So if you guys don't know much about Reigning Grace Ranch, we have 15 acres out in the Sonoran Desert. It's like a little sanctuary out there. We have roughly about 80 horses. So we are a rescue. We take in horses and rehabilitate them and then pair them with a child that is at risk. If you know anything that's going on in the world right now, any child is at risk. So we could have kids that are going through foster care. That's where kind of we started off 12 years ago. I think it's about 12 years now. 12 years ago, we started off with working with foster care kids, and it's kind of grown into working with kids in all different types. We work with kids with special needs. We work with kids with special needs, from cerebral palsy to behavioral issues, anxiety. I have some kids that I would say just need some confidence. So Tom, who's part of the Crisis Center, he has just sent us some amazing kids that we've just seen crazy transformation. Horses really do open the door, and they're a tool that really help kids uncover what's really possible for them. it just gives them a place to find hope and discovery for their life and just take a hold of their own personal life, and they can make a change. We are just a place and a place of opportunity for them to take a chance to do that. I believe there's many kids in city type of life that aren't able to experience that. I grew up on a farm, so I grew up with manual labor, throwing hay, working livestock, being up at 4 in the morning, and caring for a calf at 12 in the middle of the night. So I was raised that way, but now to be able to take my experience throughout my lifetime and allow kids to experience those types of things has been really cool and transformative, and it's really great when I'm working with a kid and I'm able to bring the aspect of God into it. I never pressure a kid to, talk about God, but sometimes it does open that door, and it's pretty cool just to see how the horses can kind of compare our relationship. Like us working with a horse can compare our relationship to God, and I can always use that as an analogy to just really help the kids work through some of their life and use that as a way to just develop better relationships, better skills in life, and just uncover like their unique gifts. So just thank you so much for allowing us to just be a recipient of the funds of this. This is just beautiful. So thank you so much. That's a little bit about Rainy Grace Ranch.
And next, we're going to have Tom Aiello from the Crisis Center, coordinator.
First, I want to say you guys are amazing, absolutely amazing. Patty, I never knew. Patty was a member of our team. Anyway, my name is Tom Aiello. I'm the crisis coordinator. And I'm just going to tell you something real quick and how this came about. During the height of the pandemic, when it first started a couple of years ago, our team was shut down because it was just too dangerous for our members to go out. And the chief called me, from the fire department, and he says, "Tom, can you do me a favor? We have a bad suicide, and the family's present, and we need somebody to talk to them." So I couldn't get anybody else to go with me. I went. I spoke to the family, and you could see how distressed they were. And what happened was a young man in his 40s took his life at his brother's house. And the mother was present, his aunt was present, and the brother, who owned the house, was present. Anyway, to make a long story short, they had problems. The family had problems. And the mother had a daughter who was suicidal, and she had a granddaughter that was suicidal. And she was so worried, what could I do, for these children? And so the first thing it took me a few minutes, but the first thing I thought of was Rainy Grace Ranch. And I was able to sponsor them through the Rotary Club. And the feedback was absolutely amazing. They just couldn't stop thanking me for sending the children there because it helped them so much. It's not a cure-all, but it helps. It really helps. And we have a lot of children in the schools, which I found out, that are in the same position. They just have problems. Some of them through trauma, like Misty said, or from all different types of anxiety, whatever. And I went to the school, and I hooked up with the guidance counselor, and she kept sending me names. I said, okay, this is great, but how do I get them funded? And So the Rotary happened to sponsor like 5 children, the Kiwanis, another 3, and then I just made presentations and whatever, and we got to, had a lot of money donated. And that money, went straight to Reigning Grace Ranch. All I could say is, please, if you can help these children, because they desperately need it. And there's more and more children all the time, because I keep getting the names, and we have to, I want to sponsor them. And everyone that comes up, I want to make sure that they're taken care of. So I just want to attest for what Misty is amazing, what she does out there with the children. And there's other people like her. They just do a terrific job. And thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Misty, for being here. And now let's welcome again the Sonoran Quintet.
Next, we go back into Hollywood and the movies. And you folks are not old enough to remember a guy named Al Jolson. Okay, the 20s. Remember the 20s? Where the gangsters were going around shooting up people in Chicago and all that kind of thing. It's a period of American music that is really a treasure for us in America. because the music has a two-beat feeling that we don't see very often. But you'll recognize it right away because it's got 5'2" and so forth, other two songs like that. So enjoy Roaring Twenties.
Right. I'm going to come a little forward for this. So, we just want to thank you all for coming to this concert, and I hope that you guys have taken to heart, you know, what you guys are here to sponsor. I want to thank Misty Mann and also Tom for their heartwarming just words about this amazing charity. Also, I would like to thank Kathy Cole and the Communications and Outreach team, and Susan Titus and the Missions Ministry at Fountain Hills right here. So thank you very much for inviting me, or us. Public speaking, not my thing. And also we want to thank Jay McFarland back there in the AV booth. Wave. Hi. Thank you for making us sound so wonderful. And Bob Lowe for having everything all set up and beautiful for us. We're going to close this concert tonight with our, oh my gosh, Ragtime Dance by Scott Joplin. And Scott Joplin, another old-time composer from the turn of the century, 1900s, also known as the King of Ragtime. Okay, and he's famous for The Entertainer, and also his most famous, which is Maple Leaf Rag. I cannot say that, Maple Leaf Rag. And all these were in a well-known movie called The Sting. So you might remember that from the 70s. So he was like brought back to popularity because of The Sting. So that's going to be our final tune. But I want you all to indulge us, because we need to honor somebody. This here is, of course, he's introduced you. This is Bud, Dr. Charles Sessions, but we all call him Bud, okay? Because we all love him dearly. And Bud has been a member of the Sonoran Wind Quintet for 25 years. None of us would be here if it wasn't for him. I just want you all to know that. And in fact, this one over here, 50 years ago, was a student of Bud's. So today is his final concert with us. And so we wanted to give you a proper farewell and present you with these beautiful flowers. And of course, we're going to be having dinner and stuff. I'll give them to your wife, your lovely wife, and we have a card all signed. But we just wanted to thank you for so many years of service and years of service to the education community. This man has probably taught 10,000 students. And so many people are just should be thankful for you. We are all thankful for you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And without further ado, Ragtime Dance, you may stomp and clap along.
And Bud is a veteran.
That's right.
One, two.